Here's a fact that should bother every engineer alive. A concrete harbor the Romans poured into the sea 2,000 years ago is still standing in the surf today. A concrete overpass we built in the 1970s is already crumbling, and crews are tearing it down. Same basic material, and theirs outlasts ours by a factor of 30, 40 more. So, what did the Romans know that we forgot? For a long time, the honest answer was, we had no idea. And that sounds like the setup for another lost secret, ancient alien story. It isn't. The real answer turns out to be stranger and better than magic. It's chemistry, and we only cracked the last piece of it in 2023. Their concrete doesn't just survive. It heals its own cracks, and down in the sea it actually grows stronger with age. Here's how. Start with the building that shouldn't be possible. In Rome, there's a temple called the Pantheon, finished around the year 126 under the Emperor Hadrian. Its roof is a single dome of concrete, 142 feet across, with a 27-foot hole open to the sky at the center, and nothing holding it up. No steel, no supports, no reinforcement of any kind. 19 centuries later, it's still the largest unreinforced concrete dome on Earth. Nobody has ever beaten it. And it isn't a ruin behind a rope. You can walk in tomorrow. Now compare that to the concrete around you. Most modern concrete is designed to last somewhere between 50 and 100 years, and plenty of it doesn't get close. So the Roman version isn't a little better. It's in a different league, and for centuries we assumed the recipe was simply lost. To understand what makes theirs special, you have to see why ours fails, and the villain is the very thing we added to make it strong. Modern concrete is poured around a skeleton of steel bars, rebar, which handles the pulling forces that concrete alone can't. It's a brilliant idea with a fatal flaw. Steel rusts. Water and salt and carbon dioxide work their way through the concrete, reach the steel, and it corrodes. Rust takes up more room than the metal it comes from, so as the bars rust they swell, and they crack the concrete open from the inside out. Engineers actually call it concrete cancer. Once it starts, it doesn't stop. That's why a parking garage from your childhood is already stained and flaking, while a Roman pier sits in the ocean completely unbothered. Ours is fighting itself. Theirs, it turns out, was built to repair itself. Which brings us to the discovery. For years, scientists studying Roman concrete kept finding little white lumps in it, chunks of lime about the size of gravel. The assumption was that the Romans had just been sloppy, that they'd mixed a bad batch and left lumps behind. In 2023, a team at MIT led by the professor Admir Masic decided to actually test that assumption, and it was wrong. Those white lumps aren't a mistake. They're the repair kit. The Romans, it turns out, mixed their lime scorching hot using raw quicklime, which drives the whole batch up to high temperatures. That hot mixing bakes the lime into the concrete as tiny brittle capsules. And here's the elegant part. When a crack forms and travels through the concrete, it runs into one of these capsules and snaps it open. The next time rainwater seeps into that crack, it dissolves the fresh lime, the mineral recrystallizes right there in the gap, and the crack seals itself shut. The concrete scars over like skin. The MIT team proved it. They made concrete the Roman way, cracked it on purpose, ran water through, and within 2 weeks the crack had healed solid. A modern batch without the lime lumps just stayed cracked and leaked. And that's only half of it, because the Roman harbors pull off something even stranger. Modern concrete and seawater are enemies. Salt is exactly what corrodes the steel and eats the structure. So Roman concrete sitting in the sea for 2,000 years should be long gone. Instead, it's some of the toughest they ever made. A researcher named Marie Jackson pulled core samples out of Roman breakwaters in the Bay of Naples and found out why. The Romans mixed their concrete with volcanic ash, a particular ash from around the town of Pozzuoli, and when seawater soaks into that mix, it doesn't attack it. It reacts with it. The seawater slowly dissolves the ash and grows rare, interlocking crystals inside the concrete, minerals with names like tobermorite, lacing the whole thing tighter as the decades pass. Their concrete takes the ocean, the very thing that destroys ours, and uses it as an ingredient. It doesn't weather. It matures. So no, the recipe was never really lost to some forgotten genius. The Romans didn't understand the chemistry the way we do now. They stumbled onto a mix that worked, through trial and error and a lucky accident of the volcanic rock under their feet, and they kept using it. What we lost wasn't a secret formula. It was the patience to build things that last. Modern concrete is tuned to be cheap, fast, and strong on the day it's poured, and we quietly accept that it'll crumble in 50 years and we'll pour it all again. But that habit has a bill attached that we're only now totaling up. Making cement is responsible for about 8% of the world's carbon emissions, more than all the air travel on the planet put together. A material that lasts 4 times as long is 4 times less of that. So there's a small irony to the whole story. The most cutting-edge concrete labs on Earth right now, the ones chasing self-healing, low-carbon, longer-lasting material, are essentially trying to reverse-engineer a recipe some Roman builder was pouring by hand before anyone on Earth knew what an atom was. Not because it was magic. Because it was better. And we're finally humble enough to copy it.